Yeah. Kishore, can you please brief me about your current project and your total experience and the technologies that you have worked on?
Yeah, sure. So, hi. Currently, I'm working with IBM, having total experience of 7.9 years. My current client is a bank, UBP, that is based in Geneva. So, it's basically a cross-functional team. So, they are offshoring some of their enhancements and support to the offshore. And the technologies I'm currently working on is Spring Boot, Angular, Hibernate, and the Java version I'm currently using is Java 11. In my previous organization, I worked as a team lead in Impact Systems Private Limited. There, I have also worked on Java and related technologies. So, Java versions I have worked on are from 5, 7, 8, and 11. Those are the Java versions basically I have worked on. I have also a bit of exposure to the front end technologies. I have worked on EXTJS framework. I have experience on Angular framework for the UI part of it. For databases, I have worked on SQL and Oracle. I have previously also worked on MongoDB for around 6 months only in my other organization. But yes, I have the experience on MongoDB and can work on. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Uh, okay. So, what all features have you worked on in Java 11?
Java 11. So basically, with we upgraded
What?
to Java 11. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. So, okay, that was my question. Are you upgrading from one version to another, or what is the kind of project?
Yeah, the project is upgrade actually. So we were upgrading from 8 to 11.
Okay.
So
So, any specific purpose of business case or just for
actually
the
the
technology that
yes, the underlying software, there is an content management, enterprise content management software called Documentum D2. So that software is upgraded, means that version is upgraded, and for that the services and the jobs which we have written in Java, that also needs to be upgraded to Java 11 in order to be in parallel with the Documentum version. So that Documentum version is now currently using Java 11, and that's why we need to upgrade to Java 11.
Oh, okay. So have you worked on the APIs, REST APIs on Spring Boot applications and all?
Yeah, Spring Boot application I have worked on. Spring Boot microservices I have
Okay,
developed.
okay. So you know how to create a, REST service. That is, what is it? How do you create a REST service?
Okay,
What are all the annotations that you use there?
okay. With respect to Spring Boot, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say with Spring Boot, if we start from the beginning, for creating a project, we use Spring Initializer that we can use from the web, or basically we integrate into the IDEs we use. And once we get our starter web project, means the dependencies we can add while creating the initializer project by directly adding the starter projects, or we can add it in the pom.xml we have. Coming to the web services, if first of all, what we create is a controller. So for that we annotate the class with @REST controller, and after that in the REST controller we can provide some context path if we want, and in that REST controller method we have the mapping. So let's say we have particular mapping to create something, like say we are creating an employee, for example. So we will have the create employee method. For the create employee method, we annotate that particular method with the post mapping. So @post mapping, and we can define again the path there. And in the method definition, we will provide the request body request body, or request body, whatever we are getting from the UI or say other application. We can configure that, and in the method body we will simply write our logic to create that particular entity, any entity that can be. So we map that entity with a let's say if we are using Hibernate, so we map that particular object to the entity and with the Hibernate sessions we just persist that particular entity to the database. So yeah, so this is the basic flow for creating a endpoint,
Yeah,
web
got it.
service endpoint.
So, okay, so this can be achieved using controller as well, right? So why should you go for a REST controller annotation apart from that at the rate controller?
Yeah, at the red control basically we used to use with the Spring MVC. Means in the controller layer, what we used to do there is we were integrating the values with some view, like say there were the Spring MVCs or Thymeleaf we were using. So we need to integrate that data, or we need to merge that data with a view page. We were having the view page there. So because of that we didn't need any body there in the application, because we were just merging that data with a view. But here in the RESTful web services, what we need is we need to pass that data in a certain format, like say JSON. So that should be formatted like in a response entity. We pass a status, we pass the response code and all. So for that we use the REST controller. Basically it's a combination of two annotations. One is the controller and other one is the body.
Yeah. Okay, so the responsibility, right? So whenever you give it, you don't have to explicitly go for that responsibility, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in Spring Boot, right? So actually, always we'll go for the Tomcat server and all. That is inbuilt. So if I need to change, is it possible to change the server? And if I need to configure some other server and all, how can I do that? What is the configuration, or how can it be done?
Yes, it can be done from the pom.xml file. So let's say first of all the default embedded server comes with Spring Boot is the Tomcat one. That we don't need to configure anything. But yes, if we need to use some other server like this, JT is also there with the Spring MVC pack. So first of all we need to exclude our Tomcat server. So in the Spring MVC in pom.xml there is our dependency for Spring MVC starter. In that starter we exclude the Tomcat server and we just add the dependency for the server we need to use, like say JT we need to use. So we add the dependency for JT and we are good to go. It will then download the JT server from the class paths and it will configure it with our services.
Okay, so what is the database that you have worked on?
I worked on SQL Oracle.
SQL and Oracle.
Yeah.
Suppose if I want to save bulk data into the database, what will be your logic for that?
By bulk data means with Hibernate you are saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so for example, means for any bulk data, if any bulk processing, what we usually use is the native queries basically. Rather than going on doing it one by one, we use the native queries. And again, for the bulk insertion, what we do is what happens is if there are the number of rows are more, it the first level cache stores our information in this session. So it becomes full and it throws there are chances of throwing the out of memory exception or something. So after few records or after few rows are inserted, we need to clear that session. So that logic we do for bulk insertions.
Okay, and you were telling that you have worked on MongoDB as well, right? So in MongoDB, if you have a huge collection, that is, you have for storing the data, maybe the data is it is the documented style of data, right, in MongoDB. So if I'm creating a dashboard, and in that I just want to display some of the details. Okay, so if I want to display only specific details, then I cannot go for the normal queries. Okay, I don't want to take the whole data set.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so in that case, how will I improve the performance of this query from the Mongo perspective?
Basically in the queries we have there in query in clause we use, and within clause we can specify a particular column or the document name you are saying, the field name. So in MongoDB, what happens is the data is unstructured. Like we can have one column for one row, but it will not present for other row. So we will just use the in clause there, which will give us only the data that's available with the particular field.
Okay, so can I go for any custom query if I need to go for any custom query, that is apart from the what the library builds for me, I want to execute a one specific query. Can I do that?
With Hibernate,
Yes.
yeah, the native queries we can always go for native queries. We can use with Hibernate, because like say if we need to update something for all the rows, uh, like say there are millions of records in a database and we need to add a particular value, like say upgraded or something. While upgrading, what we do is we keep a just a pointer there that is from the old legacy environment. So we need to add a column and we need to add set a value to legacy equal to true. So for this, if we need to do it directly with Hibernate, what we will need to do is we will need to fetch each and every record one by one and set the particular value. So instead of that, we can directly use the native query, directly use the native query and do that work for us instead of going one by one.
Okay, so in Java, we have some operations like terminal operations and intermediate operations and all,
Right,
right?
right.
Have you worked on those kind of? Have you worked on those kind of scenarios?
Yes, I have. So basically, the operations we call are for the streams. There are some terminal operations and the terminal and intermediate operations. So, yeah. So the intermediate operations, what we do is we do operations on the stream while processing the data. Like we have the map function, we have filter, we have reduce. So these are basically the intermediate functions which process our data, and after processing our data, what we do with our data is the intermediate functions. Like we have collect to or group are the intermediate are the terminal operators.
Okay. Okay. So if I have execution, maybe say I have a terminal and the intermediate operations. Okay.
Yeah.
So which one will happen first? If I have a filter and collect, which one will occur first? Filter or collect?
Filter will occur first, intermediate first, then terminal.
Okay. So I think it is the other way, because when the lambda says the terminal, it will first, then once the terminal is identified, then only it will go for the intermediate. I believe so. We can check on that. Good.
Okay, I'll check, but I was going in a logic that if you are doing some processing on the streams, it will first filter the data, then it will collect to our collectors. But yeah, I will check on that.
Okay. So again, coming on to the your Oracle database. Okay. Do you have any experience in the cloud technologies like Azure or Cosmos DB?
Not
Any
actually.
Microsoft
I don't have
application?
exposure to the cloud Azure or
Oh,
anything.
okay. Okay. So when in terms of Oracle, you have this table space and all, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, and the table space and the schema objects and all. So what
Yes.
does that mean? What is the difference between this table space and that schema objects and all?
Schema is basically the structure of means the database. What we see is the schema. I'm not sure about the staging you talked.
Okay. Okay. So have you done any indexing on the database?
Indexing means I know, but I haven't done it myself. There are the database we have teams,
Okay, you are
but
using the Hibernate. Okay, you're just fetching using the Hibernate queries, and the optimization and everything is taken by
yeah,
other teams.
yeah. Indexing, I know. Basically, what we do is we select a particular column, and we while fetching the data, we index it with that particular column.
Okay. And have you used this optional keyword that is in the Java 8?
Yes. I have in current
Okay,
application
which
also we are
scenarios
using.
should you
Sorry.
go for? In which scenario will you use this optional?
In any scenario, like when we don't know if the value we are getting for a from a method or from a function, it's going to have a value or not, that we are not sure about. In that case we will use the optional, because it's a container, it can have a value or it can't, it will not. So with the optional we have the features to check if that particular optional have some value or not.
Okay. So then coming on to the collections and all,
Yes.
have you used this hash map, hash table, array list and all?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So, okay. Have you ever got this concurrent modification exception?
Yes.
Yes. When, in which scenarios do you get it? Because it is so often in while you develop.
Yeah, right. It happens like if while coding, what we do is we don't think much, and what in what scenario it happens actually. Like say we are in a loop and we are fetching the elements from particular any collection. Like say from map we are getting some data, and there only in that loop, if we are setting something like map.put or map.put we are doing there. In that scenario we get the concurrent modification exception. For list also, if we are getting some data from the list and we are then trying to add some data again there, or trying to update some data there, we get the concurrent modification exception.
Oh, okay.
That's called actually
So
the
have
fail
you used
fast.
this hash map?
Sorry.
Yes. Yes. So have you used this hash map, hash table, and all?
Yes,
Did
hash
you?
map, mainly mostly hash map I have used. Haven't implemented hash table directly.
Okay. So how are you connecting to this database through Hibernate? What is the process? What are the steps that you follow? What is the there should be some configuration file,
Yes,
and
yes.
also can you just give me the steps, or how the connection between your code and the database happens?
Yes, okay. So basically we have the configuration file. The name is hibernate.cfg.xml file we have, and in that file we provide the database URL, database username, password. Again, the dialect we need to provide, which driver we are using. For that we need to provide the dialect, and in that only we can again provide some other properties, like we need to show SQLs, like show SQL equal to true. And earlier means I have worked on earlier version like spring I have sorry hibernate 3 I have worked on. Then what we used to do is we need to for the mapping, like which column needs to be mapped to which attribute of particular entity, we used to provide that in a separate XML file again. This column needs to be mapped to this field in the bean class. So we also used to have that XML file again, the mapping XML file, but it's removed in the earlier versions, and we directly use the annotations for that. So hibernate.cfg.xml is basically the file with which we do the configurations.
Okay. Okay. So coming on to the security of your application, how do you secure? How do you ensure the security of your application? What is the authorization or authentication? What is the process that you have done? Process,
Yeah.
not the implementation process.
Yeah, currently in my current project is we are using the Spring Security for microservices, and it is basically the token base. If I go through the process is kind of two-way. There are two main things in security. Say this first is the authentication, and second one the authorization. Authentication is basically we authenticate the user with the system if that user can get access to our microservice or not, let's say service endpoint. And then comes to authorization. Authorization checks if that particular user is allowed to access the service. What means basically is the role based authentication we have. So it checks if whether that particular user have access to do that. Should I explain a bit of code for that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay. So for that, what the by the process what we do is whenever any request is coming to our services, there is a authentication filter it goes to, and after that authentication filter is goes to the authentication builder and authentication manager. And for first of all, the authentication filter, we write our custom classes, and that custom class should extend the web configurer adapter. And in from that web configurer adapter, we extend or override two methods, two configure methods actually. One is for authentication, one is for
Okay,
authorization.
I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That is okay. I got it. That and then you will go for that resource server and all,
Yeah.
and you will configure.
Yes.
Okay, okay, got it. So, okay, so maybe you will have, suppose I have an API, okay, and you have multiple clients accessing it. So, how do you configure that API? Is it through the API gateway or what? How have you? What is the implementation that you have done?
Okay.
Maybe accessing only, giving only a single point of entry from
Right,
multiple
right,
clients. How
right.
is that in your project?
Right. So for that, we use in integration two things. One is service discovery, and one is the API gateway. So for service discovery, like we use the Eureka server, Netflix Eureka server, and with that previously I have worked on two API gateways actually. The Spring Boot started API gateway, which comes directly with Spring, and I have also worked with Zool. So those are the gateways actually. What happens is, if let's say we have one application and there are 10 instances of it running, and those are specifically dynamic. From 10 we somehow like at the end of the month, like we are working for a bank, and here the for creating documents, the users go up at the end of the month, like from Thursday or something. So what we do is, for creating the documents, we usually have four instances, and we go to 6 at end of the month. So in that case, what happens is, we don't want to configure those IP addresses for that particular services again in some of the UI technologies in Angular applications. So what we do is, we only give the API gateways address in the services, API gateways name actually. And in Eureka server, what we do is, we just configure the childs, means all the instances. So all the instances which we are creating will be the clients for that Eureka server. So there the Eureka clients libraries we install, and at the rate enable Eureka client annotations we need to provide. And again, in the properties file, we need to specify the default zone, like say default zone as in the Eureka server's address that we need to provide in the properties file of each client, and a client name. So for all the instances of particular client, the client name should be the same. And then in the what API gateway does is only goes to the Eureka server. We are not going to check for any instance. It will only go for the Eureka server, and Eureka server it then gives us the IP addresses for the instances, and the API gateway again does the load balancing for us, and it will passes the endpoint, any endpoint with the load balancing.
Okay, so are you using any monitoring tool to check on the traffic on these coming in to your API now?
By means for monitoring, we use actuators, but for traffic,
Okay.
yeah, with actuators we can check the status and means, but for traffic I'm not sure, because the load balancing is mainly means done automatically with the gateways, and again the ribbon client we use, so that also does the
Okay.
load balancing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So Ahmed, I'm done from my end. Ahmed, can you hear me?
Yep. So, okay.
Okay, I'm done from my end. If you have any
Thank
questions.
you, Lakshmi. And hi, Kishore.
Yeah, hello, Amit, right?
I'm Ashutosh Kumar.
Ashutosh, yeah,
actually,
sorry, yeah, hello.
So, can you just tell me about yourself? Actually, I joined a little bit late, so
Yeah,
I couldn't. If you have already introduced yourself,
Yeah,
I
no
missed
issues.
that part.
Yeah. So hi. So I the total years of experience I'm holding right now is 7.9. Currently I am working for a bank that is Geneva based bank called UBP, and there
That's
I'm
fine.
yeah, and the technologies which I have worked on are Java, mainly Java, and Java frameworks. I have worked on a Spring MVC, Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, Spring security, and on the UI front of side, I have worked on different UI frameworks, like I have worked on EXTJS and I have worked on Angular. So
Okay, good.
previously, I worked as a team lead in my earlier organization. I have managed a team of 5 people. Currently, it's an individual contributor role. So basically, I'm not managing a team here in current organization, but yeah, I have
Not a problem. Means that depends upon the project to project. So
yeah
that is just you will have a lot of exposure if you are joining here.
yeah
So, uh, so I think you have worked on microservices also.
yes, I have.
How much you are comfortable with Spring Boot and microservices apart from core Java?
Very much actually, because currently also means from past 6 years I'm working on the
Okay,
microservices.
that's good.
Yeah.
And any location constraints you have?
Uh, Pune, I means if you ask for a preference, I'll say Pune, or
Yeah. Apart from
in
that,
Indore also I can.
Delhi,
Sorry,
Delhi location.
Delhi.
Yeah, Delhi, New Delhi, NCR, Noida.
Yeah, means for long term means it's quite very far from my home. So
Okay,
I basically look around for Maharashtra.
Indore,
Yeah,
Maharashtra.
yeah, Indore is quite close to me, like Mumbai,
Okay,
Indore,
not a
Mumbai,
problem.
Pune, Indore.
TCS has a lot of other location also, Indore also, Mumbai also.
Yeah, I'm also
That
okay
is
for
not a
Gujarat
problem.
actually, for that thing like Ahmedabad, Surat.
Okay.
So I live in between somewhere there.
And work hour constraint for few days, if 1 or 2 days in a month there is a requirement to
Yeah, yeah,
for just like deployments, other thing.
yeah.
So
That
work hour
should be.
can extend or something.
Yeah, no issues, no issues. We always need to
So,
do that.
you are means working in this environment, means IT industry, so you must be
Yeah,
aware of the
yeah.
challenges and other
We
things.
need to do that.
So we should be clear about that
Yeah,
because
yeah. Right, right.
our project is US based, so sometime
Yes,
it may require to connect with the
yes, yes. Right.
Scrum calls or something like that. So
Yeah, right, right. I'm okay with that. No issue.
okay. Uh, Hi Amit, from project perspective, if you want to discuss anything.
No, I think you already discussed this with about the timing and location constraints and all those, so I'm not worried about time. I think I'm good with that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Kishore.
So
Yeah.
thanks, Kishore.
Thank you. Thanks all.
Yeah.
This.
Now you can
Thank you.
drop and yeah. So HR will definitely connect with you. Okay.
Okay, sure, will do. Thanks
Yeah.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Bye.